Namaskar. I am Professor N.B. Gurule, going to discuss with you about fundamentals of material science. Of course, I know that you are the students of second year production engineering studying this unit under the subject material science and metallurgy. So, first we will discuss about what exactly material science and metallurgy. So, before we begin this subject, you should have a basic knowledge of physics and chemistry subjects. Then after studying this material science and metallurgy subject, you will be able to identify different types, characteristics and processing, as well as the applications of different ferrous and non-ferrous metals as well as their alloys. Then you will be also able to draw and explain equilibrium diagrams of various alloy systems. You will be able to explain various strengthening mechanisms. You will be able to impart a knowledge of various heat treatment processes, and you can define different mechanical properties of materials. Also, you can conduct a destructive as well as non-destructive test to evaluate these mechanical properties of material, and you will be able to learn some aspects of powder metallurgy. Then this course, Material Science and Metallurgy, includes 6 units. Unit number 1 is Fundamentals of Material Science. Unit number 2 is Steel and Heat Treatment Processes. Unit number 3 is Alloy Steels and Cast Irons. Unit number 4 is Non-Ferrous Alloys. Unit number 5 is Material Testing, and unit number 6 is a Powder Metallurgy. So, let us begin with the first unit, that is fundamentals of material science. So we will discuss about the classification of materials, then defects in different solid materials, then mechanism of plastic deformation, solidification and a phase diagram. So let us start how the materials are classified. So based on mechanical properties as well as physical properties, materials are classified as metals, ceramics, polymers and composites. For an engineer, especially metals are more important because they have ability to carry the loads as well as they are easy to manufacture. Metallic materials are again classified into two groups as ferrous and non-ferrous metals. Ferrous metals having a main constituent as iron, and for example steels and cast irons are the ferrous materials. Then non-metallic means metals which are having different content other than iron are termed as non-ferrous metals, for example brass, silver, aluminium, etc. So what is the basic aim of studying this material science? So the main problem that the exact structure is never known, since every material exhibits impurities, defects and broad particle size distribution. There is no physical theory that can predict macroscopic properties such as electrical conductivity, magnetism, absorption spectrum, luminous, quantum efficiency, etc. So we need to study this material science, and the objective of studying is the description of material properties, to investigate the causes for these properties, then to select the material for different applications, then material synthesis and optimization and analysis of different materials. This is the broad aspect or objectives of studying this subject. So as I mentioned that no material is perfect, is having some defect. So all solids, crystal of the solids are not perfect. So defects are great importance as they can affect on the properties such as mechanical property, electrical property, chemical reactivity and corrosion. There are several terms used to describe defects, which may be as follows. intrinsic defects, the present for thermodynamic reasons, and extrinsic defects not required by thermodynamics and can be controlled by purification of or synthesis of materials. Then point defect occurs at single site. Random errors in periodic lattice, for example, absence of atom from usual place, we called it as a vacancy, or atom in a site not normally occupied, that is, we called it as an interstitial. Then extended defects ordered in one, two or three directions, for example, errors in stacking of planes. Now every solid has thermodynamic tendency to acquire a point defect as they introduce disorder and therefore increase entropy of a material. So this slide represents the classification of defects based on the dimensionality. Zero dimension defects are also known as point defect, and under this point defect there are four categories of defects, that is vacancy, impurity, Fresnel defect and Stokes defect. One dimension defect we call them as a dislocation. The two dimensional as well as a surface or interface defect, they are broadly classified as surface, interface boundaries, grain boundaries, twin boundaries and antiphase boundaries. In three-dimensional defect we call them as a volume defect, and they are further classified as twin defect, precipitative defect, voids, cracks or thermal vibrations. So these are the defects present in every material, and now these defects, as I discussed, that point defects are of these many 6 types. Now first type is a vacancy, means here if you observe the one atom is missing, we call it as a vacancy defect. Then interstitial, one another atom is added in the crystal arrangement, so this is named as interstitial. Then additional atom, small atom is replaced inside this arrangement, and this is small substitutional defects. Then bigger size atom is added in the crystallographic arrangement, we called it as a large substitutional defect, and this Fresnel and a Stokes defect. So all the defects disrupt the perfect arrangement of surrounding atoms. So, and because of these defects some other changes in properties occurs. So this intrinsic point defect are not easy to directly detect. Several techniques have been used to study them. Two physicists, that is Fresnel and Stokes, used conductivity and density data to identify specific type of point defects. So Stokes vacancy in an otherwise perfect lattice. So this is as I shown in earlier figure, these two defects. So then the next important term is why metal deform plastically, by which mechanism metal deform plastically. So ability of a metal to deform plastically depends on ability of dislocations to move inside the crystal structure. So restricting dislocation motion makes the material more strong. So these are the two fundamental things one should remember, and mechanism of strengthening in a single phase metal are of 3 types: grain size reduction, solid solution alloying and strain hardening. We'll see or learn one by one in next slide. Now mechanism of plastic deformation. Now here you will observe before and after the changes in crystal structure, large plastic deformation corresponds to elongation of grains along the direction of applied force. Now in first figure and second figure you will find that grains are elongated, and due to that in that direction where the stress is applied. Then mechanism of plastic deformation, we can say that alloys are usually stronger than pure metal of solvent. Now here one question always arises in mind, that why alloys are more stronger. So the interstitial or substitutional impurities in a solution causes lattice strains, and as a result impurities interact with dislocation strain field and hinders dislocation motion. That's why the material becomes more stronger. Then impurities tends to diffuse or segregate around the dislocation core to find atomic sites more suited to their radii, and they reduce the overall strain energy and anchor the dislocation. So because of these two reasons we call these alloys more stronger. Then the motion of dislocation core always from the impurities moves it to the region of lattice where the atomic strains are greater. That is, dislocation strains are no longer compensated by impurity atoms. So that's why the motion gets restricted and alloy become more stronger. Then ductile metals become stronger when they are deformed plastically at temperature well below the melting point. Then the reason for strain hardening is increase of dislocation density with plastic deformation. So as you deform metal plastically, the dislocation density increases, and because of that material becomes more harder. The average distance between the dislocation decreases and dislocations start blocking and motion of each other, and because of that material becomes more stronger. The next point of discussion is solidification of metal. Now that means solidification means how that metal travel from its liquid state to a solid state. Solidification of metal is a phase transformation from liquid to solid. It occurs because original state of metal is unstable relative to a final state. So here in this figure you will observe that when metal is in molten state or in liquid state and it starts solidifying, initially number of nuclei starts growing, and those nuclei stack form a crystal, and number of crystals when grow they will form a grain, and number of grains when they increase or become larger in size they form the grain boundary. So these three figures show the progress of solidification of metal, and we are interested in the study of solidification because this grain size, grain distribution, orientation derives the property of any material. Okay. So next important term in this unit is phase diagram. Now we'll understand first three terms what we mean by equilibrium. Equilibrium means minimum energy state for a given temperature, pressure and composition. That is, equilibrium state will persist indefinitely for a fixed temperature, pressure and composition. Phase equilibrium, if there is more than one phase present in a system, then phase characteristics will stay a constant over a time. Phase diagrams, this is a new term, this is a diagram which tells us about equilibrium phases as a function of temperature, pressure and composition. Now here we will always keep pressure constant for simplicity to draw or to study the phase diagram. Now let us look a phase diagram. Indicate the phases as a function of temperature, then composition and pressure. For this course, binary system, just two components is considered. Independent variables are the temperature and composition. So on x-axis composition and on y-axis temperature in degree centigrade, considering pressure as 1 atmosphere, always constant. So what we are observing here in above this curve is a liquid and below the curve is a solid.